Hey guys, this is Alex from Pratt Printing Press here. Today, I've got a really exciting video for you. Today,
Hey,
what?
I thought I was supposed to be in this video.
No, that's not what I said. I said I'm making a video for you, not of you.
Wait. You mean to tell me that I caught a ride and came all the way down here for nothing?
Come on, man. You can be here for emotional support.
What am I supposed to do now? Sit in the back and eat popcorn like a groupie?
I mean, if that's what you want to do, sure, go for it.
Whatever, man. Just focus on your video. I'm done.
Okay then, I guess we're going to talk about this special new project today where we're going to be building the Borderlands 4 Ripper mask. Let's talk about it. All right, silly intros out of the way. Let's talk about this mask here because this has to be one of my favorite props that I have built to date. I know it is a bit cliche to say that, but truly, I am so pleased with how this particular project came out, and it was really a fun and somewhat new process for me working on this helmet specifically. I'm a huge fan of Borderlands, and bringing this particular prop to life was personally fulfilling in a lot of ways. So, what makes this helmet or mask any different than the other ones that I've built? Well, in reality, most of the props that I have built have actually incorporated mostly spray paints. I honestly have not done much hand painting on my specific props. While I've had some fun tinkering around and hand painting miniatures, the reality is I have not incorporated much hand painting on any of my props up to this point, until this project. This project was mostly painted by hand. Now I'm going to tell you up front, I took footage of everything that I did. And there were a few moments where I hit record and I started doing the things, and then I went to hit stop on the record, and then I saw that nothing had recorded at all. So that's just the way it goes. I wasn't going to unpaint or sand it back down or anything like that. So I do apologize for any of the portions of this video that are not going to have any kind of B-roll footage showing what I'm talking about. For those parts, we're just going to have to use our imagination.
Imagination.
Now, of course, the start of any good project is going to be finding the 3D files. These particular files are super exciting because this is the actual in-game model that they used in Borderlands 4. That's right, you can pick up this file for free on Printable's website. They have this mask. They actually have one if you're going to be using an AMS unit that actually allows you to print this in multicolors if you're not wanting to paint it, but you're wanting to do a multicolor print. You have that option available to you as well. And they also have, I think, a weapon in there as well that you can download completely for free. So check it out. I'll have a link in the description of today's video where you can find the files for this mask. So with files in hand, there's nothing else to do but to go ahead and throw that bad boy into my bamboo slicer and go ahead and slice that up and send it to my bamboo P1S. When it comes to actually printing the mask, I end up using Sunlu's red PLA. I absolutely love Sunlu PLA, and I use it pretty much exclusively for everything that I build here. One, the price is amazing. Two, it's got great plastic spools that work great if you're using an AMS unit, so you don't need to worry for those who have issues working with cardboard spools. That's not a problem with Sunlu. And as a bonus, I actually have an affiliate link with Sunlu. So if you're wanting to pick up some filament for your next project and you'd like to support this channel further, do me a favor and hit that link down below in the description to purchase your next roll of Sunlu filament. You won't be disappointed. So at this point, you already know the drill. We found the files, we sliced them, we printed them. We have a raw print that we're ready to start painting, but we're not ready to start painting it yet. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to sand that bad boy down. So following the typical process, I sanded it down, started with a low grit, worked my way up to a higher grit, worked my way up into that wet sanding, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't even go crazy with the sanding for this project. This didn't need a whole lot of sanding, and I don't really see any layer lines, so I'm very happy with how this came out in the end. But yeah, this particular prop was not so bad to sand down at all. Once it was sanded down and ready for painting, you know what my first step is always going to be. I'm going to be using my Duplicolor red filler primer. This stuff is fantastic. You can find this easily at most automotive stores. You can actually find this online, I believe, on Amazon as well. But if you want to pick it up locally, check out your local O'Reilly's. AutoZone might have it too, but O'Reilly's always has this stuff for me personally. After that, I wanted to hit this bad boy with the base coat. You could choose whatever base coat you particularly want. I decided to just cover this whole thing in white. I threw away the can, so I actually don't have the can to show you, but I'm pretty sure it was Rust-Oleum's flat white that I ended up using. It's just their classic Rust-Oleum white paint. It was nothing fancy. So I painted the entire thing white and just gave it a nice even base coat. Once I was happy with how the colors were coming out, with the lighter end of things, I decided to go to the darker end of things and start working on more of the metallic parts of this particular print. So I took a basic black acrylic paint and I just started hand painting everything that was going to be either dark or specifically chromed and metal looking. And I just went around and just hit all of those specific areas that were going to need that kind of attention. Next up, it was time to start applying some chrome. For this, I actually used a little tip that I picked up from Adam Savage, and that's actually using this liquid chrome. It's a Molotow paint pen refill. You can get these guys online. Some of your hobby stores might carry them. I think I saw this at Hobby Lobby once. But yeah, you can get this guy. It's not cheap for this little tube, but it's super worth it because this guy actually does really great work for giving you a nice chrome color. So I went ahead and took this and I threw it into my airbrush kit, and then I started hitting everything that needed to be chrome and making it actually look chrome. This is a super satisfying part of the project as you just see it start to slowly take over and to seep in and to just make this thing look real as you see these chrome colors coming out. So I made sure that I was hitting all those, basically the entire bottom of the mask, in addition to also the different nuts and bolts and rivets that are found along the surface of this particular mask. I went ahead and fired up the airbrush kit and I ended up adding some of this ivory color. I hit most of the mask with this to just bring out a little bit less of that white, to darken it and dull it a little bit, and to give us this clean ivory kind of bone color, which I think is perfect for this. I then mixed in a little bit of this yellow ochre as well and tried to hit some of the accent points where I wanted it to look a little bit more dirty, a little bit more on the sandy side of things. So I mixed up some of this yellow ochre and it worked great. I made sure that I was paying special attention to all the different cracks and divots and just detailed pieces that needed a little bit more attention. And I think it came out great. So at this point in the video, I'm pretty happy with what I've got going on so far. I've got a really great ivory light color going on top, and then I'm loving how the chrome look is coming out. Next up, what I needed to do was to actually take care of this vault symbol. So to do the vault symbol, I actually just took a pencil and I very carefully traced the outline of where I believed the vault symbol should be setting on this particular mask. I traced that out very carefully with a pencil and just made sure that everything was where I wanted it before I started putting paint on. Because once you start putting paint on there, it's a little bit harder to pull those things back without making a mess. So I took my time, I was a little bit meticulous with this, but I'm really happy with how the vault symbol came out based on the fact that I was doing that freehand, and I think that it came out looking good. Next up, it was time to actually paint the vault symbol on there. So I picked up this color. It is literally orange yellow. I picked this up at a local store, and I absolutely love how this color came out. It was the perfect shade of yellow and orange to be applying to this particular river mask or psycho mask, however you want to call it. So very carefully, I followed the outline that I had traced on there, and I went ahead and painted on this the vault symbol with this yellow-orange paint. Now, when I got to the point of actually painting onto the respirators, I first kind of got a little bit excited and I tried to paint it on there, and I wasn't super happy with how it was coming out. At this point, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, if not later, and I decided it's time to take a break. Let's go to bed and hit this with a fresh mind in the morning. So that's what I did. I took a break, and then I realized, of course this isn't going to come out all that great. I'm painting on top of chrome. If I really want this to pop a little bit more, I'm going to want to give this a lighter undercoat. So for the actual respirators, I ended up painting over those, just the points that I wanted to have orange. I painted those over with that ivory color again, and then I let that dry. And then once the ivory was dry, I then took my orange yellow again and painted on top, and it had a lot more pop, much more vibrant. Really happy with how the respirators came out after I ended up giving it that lighter base coat. So if you're ever trying something like this and you're painting on top of something that's really dark and you're not crazy about how vibrant or lack of vibrance there is with the color that you're putting on top of there, maybe your base coat is too dark and you need to lighten it up a little bit. So that worked for me. Super happy with how that came out, and I think that the respirators matched the vault symbol perfectly. At that point, it was time to start actually mucking up the print a little bit, and we really wanted to bring down the vibrance of the chrome. Now this part came out just so well. I'm so happy with how this came out. I ended up from the same store picking up a burnt sienna, and this paint color was just perfect for what I was looking for. I went ahead and took some of this, I watered it down, and I just started brushing it across anything and everything that was chrome and stuff that I wanted to be really dirty. I made sure that this was really watered down, and then I just started applying it all over the place. Then I just took a paper towel and I gently wiped it away. Now what made this even cooler is the fact that in some places the chrome wasn't even like fully cured in some instances. And so as I'm wiping away this burnt sienna, I'm also wiping away a little bit of the chrome, and it kind of brings back a little bit of the black that was underneath the chrome as well. And it just gave this perfect fusion of the rust and the metal and then the black and just this grime. It was just absolutely perfect. Once I was happy with how the metal parts were coming out, I also made sure that I applied those to the different nuts and bolts and rivets along the mask. And I went ahead and took my brush, a little mop brush, and I just decided to take some of that rusty gunk color and to try to spread that on different parts of the mask to try to give it a little bit more accent, a little bit more depth, and just to show that this thing was a worn prop. So I went ahead and did that next. Oh, I almost forgot. After I spent a lot of time dirtying up and adding a lot of the rust and the weathering that I wanted to the metal, I realized that there were parts of the metal that didn't stick out quite enough. So while I didn't want to restore it to the full glory of when it was originally chromed out, I did want to bring back a little bit of that shine. For that, I actually used like a few small drops of Rub and Buff. This stuff's great, and a little bit goes a long way. I just put a tiny bit of this down, grabbed my paintbrush, and just used it to very lightly brush certain bits and pieces of the metal that I wanted to have a little bit more pop and to bring back a little bit of that vibrance. So a little bit goes a long way, don't go crazy, but Rub and Buff definitely brought back some of that vibrance. Next up came the really fun part. That was turning this prop that was starting to look really good into more of a cartoony looking prop. Now the look in the game is something that we call cell shading. And to do this, we actually need to take a black color and just really trace out a lot of the different details of the helmet to try to give it a little bit more character pop. And it's kind of like almost comic booky in a way. So with no further ado, I decided to go for it. There were a couple of spots that I had missed that needed a little bit of deeper black paint, so I went ahead and put that in there. And then it was time to start cell shading this bad boy. Now I'm a little bit OCD, so this was a bit of a challenge for me to a degree because I wanted everything to be absolutely symmetrical, but you're kind of not going for that. When you're doing this, you really want to take your time and just look at every aspect of the mask, every little dent in it, every little detail, any gashes, any, the brow line, maybe a cheek line, parts of the respirator, anything that looks damaged specifically. You're looking for all those different accent points that you can try to emphasize with the paint. And so I just kind of took my time and went around and I added those lines, those detail lines where I saw that they fit. I was a little bit nervous going into this, but I actually had a lot of fun adding those details. And I personally think that the mask isn't complete without that cell shading look. And this being my first attempt ever at cell shading, I'm really happy with how that came out. At that point, after I had spent some time doing my cell shading, the mask was basically done. Now, even though I was done with painting, there were a few last minute things that I did need to do. So the first of those things being, I needed to clear coat it. That's right, we want to protect that beautiful paint job that we just spent all this time working on. So I went ahead and threw a clear coat on top of it. For this, I used Duplicolors. Again, Duplicolor, always. I used their 1K matte finish can, and this was the perfect finish for this mask. I didn't want a glossy finish. I didn't even want a semi-glossy finish. I wanted this thing to be just basic, like it's not supposed to be shiny. This thing is supposed to be beat up and like dug out of the dumpsters of Pandora, basically. So matte finish, worked great. You've seen this stuff before on the channel. Just start with a small coat, just a light dusting, maybe 2 dust coats, and then give it a heavy coat, and you're basically good to go from there. I gave the mask a couple of days to rest and make sure that that clear coat had cured fully and was hardened on there and I wasn't going to be damaging the finish before moving on to the final steps. And the final steps was literally just adding some straps in the back. For this, I ended up using the little bars that were literally built into this mask's file, designed for attaching straps to. So it's nothing fancy. I have 1 strap in the back, 1 strap at the top, and then one that goes over the top of my head. And it works. So yeah, very happy with that. It's really basic. You can do this however you want. I literally only hot glued one spot, which is the very top. The other ones, I literally just fastened them in there and then glued them to themselves. So this right here can be adjusted. This can be adjusted. It's not rocket science. I'm using elastic straps here. Use what you got. Yeah, this part's not complicated. And then the last finishing touch was I wanted to be able to hide my eyes within this mask. It does make it a little bit harder to see, especially if you're wearing it out at night, because I did end up wearing this thing trick-or-treating with my kids, and that was a little bit of a challenge to see once the sun went down. But to accomplish this look, I basically took, it's basically like a mosquito net. I actually don't remember the name of the product, but you can find this online, and it's just this mesh fabric that I got a whole bunch of, and I just folded it up a little bit, and then I hot glued it into the inside of the mask. It's nothing fancy. It does the job just well. I can see out of it, and you can't see my eyes. So, mission accomplished. And that's honestly gonna wrap up today's project. This honestly did not take that long to put together, and if you've got some time on your hands and you're looking for a project and you've got a 3D printer and you've got some extra filament, this is a great project because the files are literally free. Like every time I boot up the game, I see that mask and I'm like, I made that. That's this. That's this. I have it right here. I made this. This was a really fun project as it did test my skills a little bit. Instead of taping things off and trying to hit it with the perfect top coat of spray paints, this was mostly done by hand. And that really pushed me in a lot of new ways. And again, I'm really happy with how it came out. Is it perfect? No. Is any prop out there really perfect? Basically not. So I'm happy with how this came out. If you've gone off and printed this, I would love to see your builds as well, to see what creative colors you came up with, or the different approaches that you've made. So please, drop a comment in today's video to show me what you've got going on. And we'd love to see the different builds that we've got here going on the channel. If you've made it to this point in the video, I super appreciate you and your continued support for this channel. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that like button, dropping a subscribe, and then clicking that bell icon. That way you never miss when I upload any new YouTube videos. Well, that's officially it for today's video, but make sure you stay tuned for the channel because I've got another video coming out in a couple of weeks and you're not going to want to miss that one. I've got a big project that I'm working on. I may or may not even be collaborating with somebody on, and next video is going to be a banger. It's going to be part 1 in a new series that we're working on, a new big project that we're working on, the first big project that I've worked on since the Iron Man suit. So make sure that you keep your eye out for that video when it comes live. Thank you guys once again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.